John's Drams, the channel where I, John, have a dram. Today I'm not going to be having a dram. Well, I will be having one today, but I won't be in this video because that's how block recording works. There you go, a bit of inside information. Yeah, so videos are happening again. That's very exciting. Today is Burns Night. Burns Day. Burns. Yes. It's a big thing in Scotland because we get lots of money off of the tourists. It's a big day in Scotland because it allows us to celebrate the work of the national bard, Rabbie Burns, or Robert Burns, if you wish to Anglicanize him. That was his actual name. It's just... Anyway, it's not relevant. Basically, he was a poet. He's sort of Scotland's answer to Shakespeare, I suppose. He never did any plays. Probably for the best. And basically what happens is that people celebrate the day by eating haggis, drinking lots of whiskey, and that's about it, really. Reading some poetry as well. If you want to actually see the address to the haggis, then you can go on Glenfiddich's Instagram page, where you'll see Mark Thompson reciting it. So, you know, if you've ever wanted to hear the poem, or you just fancy a quick wank, then that is an option there. I did both. So today I have a list, because I've heard that lists are good for the algorithm, and also people just kind of like lists. List program. Does anybody remember Channel 4 list programs? Who here remembers? Right, here's one. There was a national poll in Britain in the early noughties to enumerate the best sitcoms in the UK, and it was a 50-long list, and I think it was like a 3-part... I remember it being very long, because they had to get through everything. And Only Fools and Horses won it. But yeah, that was before it really took off on YouTube. They've always been there. It's always been there. Anyway, so I've got a list, because people like lists, and I'm going to give you a list of some of the whiskies that you can try on Burns Night. Now then, there is method to the madness of this video, because if you don't get the context behind it, then you're probably going to scrub through this and be like, hang about, these are some bloody odd picks. What's going on here? There's a reason for this. This video is going out on the 25th, which is Burns Day /night /afternoon, which means if you're watching this now looking for advice, you're in the shit, son, because you've left it last minute. So this is a last-minute list for Burns Night. I could have made this video way more succinct, but it's just not my style, let's face it. And if you're new to the channel, this is it. So, buckle in. So this is a list of 5 whiskies which you can panic buy, effectively, right now at your local Tesco or Sainsbury's or Asda. I did a quick bit of scrubbing through websites, and I've also just kind of had a bit of a gander on the shelves of Sainsbury's and Asda and Tesco's and stuff. I had a bit of a wander around the last couple of days, because I had this in my head and I was like, okay, let's see what's out there that you can just pick up off the shelf. Because I also have to remember, I'm based in Edinburgh, so I have to check my privilege sometimes, because if I'm like, oh, I've woken up, I fancy a 1936 Mortlach today, oh, just pop down to Cadenheads and pick one up with all this money I have lying around. Not everywhere I could do that, so maybe you're trying to celebrate Burns Night, you have relatives from Scotland, and you're in Surrey, and all you have is a Tesco Express to work with. This list should hopefully keep you in good stead. So, with that all out of the way, here's my top 5, except it's not in any particular order because it's not a ranking, but my top 5, because of the algorithm, whiskies for Burns Night that you can get on the last second because you forgot it was Burns Night and now you're panicking, oh God, help me. It's not the punchiest title in the world, I'll be the first to say it. At number 5 on my list, again, no ranking of preference, we've got the Lagavulin 8. You can grab this in Tesco's. Haven't seen it for sale anywhere else, but you can grab it in Tesco's. Hopefully all of them, but, you know, definitely some of them. If you've got a big Tesco's near you, you're probably all right. The Lagavulin 8, it was initially... I mean, there was a Lagavulin 8, like... Oh, that's Mo at the window. That he can wait, it's fine, he'll just meow. Lagavulin 8 used to exist ages ago, and then they stopped making it, and then the Lagavulin 16 became dominant, and then they shot the price of the Lagavulin 16 up, and then everyone was up in arms about it, and then they released the Lagavulin 8 as a special 200th anniversary edition, And then it was very popular, and so they rolled it out into a core range. It's not exactly the same as the 200th edition, but it's close enough, and it's still really nice. There's no sherry in it. Just catch my breath. It's a basic no-frills Lagavulin. It's delicious, full of brine, smoke, peat, little heathery, little floral. If you have folk about that are big onto their smoked meats, barbecue kind of flavours, or they're just heavy smokers, this is probably the one for them. All bourbon barrel. It's a Lagavulin that's been described as a whiskey, a Lagavulin expression certainly, but has nowhere to hide, so it has to be good up front. Luckily, Lagavulin have been kicking around for a while, so they know what they're doing. So it's lovely liquid. It's also nowhere near as expensive as the 16-year-old, though annoyingly, it's not half the price. I know that's not how production works, but you get what I'm... It's a joke, it's fine. Number 4 on my list is probably a little bit of a surprise to some people. It's the Glenfiddich 15. I mean, Glenfiddich, well, not exactly enemy. Well, not enemies at all, actually. There's no animosity. It's just not my cup of tea, necessarily. But as part of my role as a distributor of whiskey to the confused visiting masses of Edinburgh, I have to consider palates that are not necessarily my own, and this one always goes down very well. It's an affordable bottle. Obviously, it's a higher age statement. It's a lower ABV than previously mentioned examples. But despite this, it's a lovely, fruity, jammy whiskey, and it has an interesting process as well. So they make the 15-year-old by vatting their bourbon barrels and their sherry casks and all the rest of it, and then they have a Solera vat in Glenfiddich. So the idea with the Solera basically is it's kind of like a game of Plinko. You start at the top, you work your way down, you chuck in your sherry, your grappa, your whatever, into the top, it works its way down, and it melds with all the liquids within the Solera system that never gets fully emptied because it's always being topped up. The hygiene of that, I'm sure, is fine. But it is, but again, humour. Still getting into this. And it all marries together and makes a super complex whiskey, or sherry, or whatever else. So the Solera vat hasn't been emptied since 1997. I'm doing that off the top of my head, so if that's not right, there'll be a correction somewhere. But yeah, since the 90s, anyway. And what they do, once they've made the whiskey, is they then chuck it in the Solera. And they let it jiggle about and dance a bit. And then they empty it out, fill up the bottles, and then shove it off. It's the equivalent to, you've baked the cake, now you have to ice it. It's also known as a finishing maturation sometimes, or a finishing period. So if you've heard those terms, yeah, there you go. Crystallised ginger, sherry notes, Christmas spice. It's a lovely, lovely whiskey. And it's quite affordable as well, which is something that, again, on this list is important, but also just important in general at the moment. Looking forward to next year. It's just like, just keeps going downhill. It's impressive. Number 3 on the list is the Old Pulteney 12. I'm not sure this really needs much of an introduction, to be honest. It's beautiful stuff. 46%. It is a lovely, briny, coastal, sweet vanilla-y kind of a malt, and most people have at least heard of it. I would imagine a fair few folk have tried it as well. It's just a generally gorgeous drinking experience. Somebody likened it once to drinking seawater, which isn't accurate. I think they thought they were being nice about it, but it's just not. It's just not correct. It's maritime malt. I personally have never been able to pick up any peat notes. Some people I've spoken to have said that they can pick up peat notes in it. Personally, I haven't been able to, but maybe I just don't have the refined palate necessary to. For me, it's salted caramel whiskey, basically. When I say that as well, I have to clarify that it is not the same as taking a bite out of a salted caramel whatever. But it has the essence of, if that makes sense. fantastic beginner whiskey. Most people that are long on their journey to the whiskey Valhalla, words are difficult today, will also happily drink it. So it's a crowd pleaser, is what I'm getting at. And again, usually always very affordable, unless, I don't know, you've gone to like Dodgy Dave's corner shop and he's charging 80 quid for it. Don't pay 80 quid for Old Ballinger, Old Pulteney 12. Don't do it. Just, no. Report him to the whiskey police immediately, and Ralphie will throw his cat at him. What a cute animal that is. Such a sweet creature. Which that's the point. How? No, I'm not going to bring up this point actually, because we've lost one recently. I was about to say how many whiskey YouTubers have cats, but one of them is sadly no longer with us, which is a shame, because, oh, what a dear that creature was. I've never had a chance to meet them, but, oh. You know, you can just tell there's a sweet animal. He better be immortal, I swear to God. Number 2 on the list is the Glenmorangie La Santa. Glenmorangie. But you know what? I like Glenmorangie. Always have done. The 10-year-old, never had any problems with it. It's lovely, sweet, barley-led. Bill Lumsden knows what he's doing. The La Santa is their sherry-led expression. Do I take some umbrage with their design choices of late? Yes. I'm not sure I like the 2.4 Children's rebrand, but it's a decision. It's almost like they're taking the piss by being like, yeah, we know no one can pronounce this right, so we're just going to steer it in a weird direction. So now it's Glenmorangie. Great. Anyway, the La Santa. Beautiful ruby red colour, rich sherry casks, fruitcake, raisins, plums, sultanas. It's a lovely Christmas malt, but it's also just good for cold weather, because those are the kind of rich, decadent flavours that, certainly for me anyway, get me through a rough spell of the winters. And Burns Night is in the winters, so this does nicely. Comment down below if you like Christmas cake. Is that where this is going? And number 1 on my list, again, no ranking of preference, because I'd get torn apart if this was number 1 on any list, probably. Tomatin Legacy. This got covered by First Fill Whiskey a wee while ago as part of the Are They Shit flight that he did. And the answer was 3 of them were, 2 of them weren't. I was a little surprised to see the Tomatin Legacy on this, because, yeah, it's cheap whiskey, and yeah, it's not the most complex thing on the planet, but there's nothing wrong with it. I want to be an advocate for there's nothing wrong with it, just because it's affordable. Tomatin Legacy, it's a no-age statement from Tomatin. It comes in kind of like a sage green label, I suppose you'd describe it, and it is usually dirt cheap. It usually goes for about the same price as like a perennial blend, sometimes less. It's all single malt, 40%, coloured, filtered, all the rest of it. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, you know, it has a purpose, and its purpose is volume. Distilleries are businesses, guys. Sometimes this has to be news to people. Distilleries are businesses. The fact that they can make the business and also make something that is rather palatable and saves you a bit of money, it's kind of a win for everyone. It's not going to be everyone's cup of tea, but it's also kind of a win for everyone who fit into that Venn diagram. And I'd rather the Tomatin still be here than not. So if it's working for them and it's working for the people buying it, hooray. I've had the Tomatin Legacy a few times. I recommended it to a few people as their inaugural whiskey. It has plenty of classic Speyside notes. You've got pineapple cubes, pear drops, fresh cut apple. It's quite grassy, light, very easy drinking, but it's not lacking in flavour. The flavours are a little bit... It's sort of like the watercolour of whiskies, you know? The colours are still there, they're just a little bit muted. But you've still got a painting at the end of the day, so... These pronouncements of mine are not good. Anyway, the Tomatin's fantastic if you've got people coming around who are maybe new to their whiskies, or they're just kind of like, I don't like whiskey, because they've had Famous Grouse once when they were 14, chugged half the bottle, and it nearly killed them because Famous Grouse is shite. Famous Grouse can come at me all they want. It's terrible. They've done so much damage for whiskey drinkers because that is usually the first one they pick up, and it's awful. Yeah, anyway. So again, much more orchard fruits, a little bit of sweet shop sweeties, cola cubes and stuff like that. Very easy drinking. It's a social whiskey as well. It's not one that you're all going to be sat around the kitchen table going, oh yes, I'm picking up, yeah. You're having a drink and you might go, that's quite nice, that. And then you'll carry on having whatever conversation you were having. It's a social lubricant, which whiskey is. So, well done to man. The coffee's wearing off, guys. I'm going to wrap this up. What are you doing for Burns Night in like 3 hours? Have you got your kilt ready? I don't. I'm off this year. Oh shit, I've not made any plans. Oh, that's come full circle. Huh. Right, well, I'd better go and slaughter a haggis. There should still be a few on Carlton Hill. Or worst comes to the worst, you know. After dark, the locals there tend to get quite friendly, if you know what I mean. Comment down below what you're up to on Burns. Any whiskies that you'd recommend? Anything that is your go-to? Do you have any hidden gems in supermarkets or just stuff that you can get locally? Do you live in Surrey? What's it like? What's nice? What's good to do? Do you only have a Tesco Extra? Thoughts and prayers if that's the situation. Thumb the video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to the channel if this is doing it for you for some reason. And do join me next time where I'll be drinking something.